amendment regarding OBC?
Yes, and I'm talking about Jawaharlal Nehru in 1961, when clearly he had changed his position. He said, I dislike any kind of reservations.
One could take Panditji's position at any point of time and then overlook what he had himself initiated while the Constitution, after the Constitution was.
So am I then to understand that regardless of the case that's made against reservations in terms of need, regardless of the case that's made against reservations in terms of efficacy, regardless of the case that's made against reservations in terms of Jawaharlal Nehru, you remain committed to extending reservations to the OBCs?
Well, I said because that is the will of Parliament. And I think common decisions that are taken by Parliament have to be honoured.
Then let me ask you a few basic questions. If reservations are going to happen for the OBCs in higher education, what percentage of reservations are we talking about?
No, that I can't say because that has yet to be decided.
Could it be less than 27%?
Well, I can't say anything on that. I have told you in the very beginning that at this point of time, it is not possible for me to...
Quite right. But if you can't say, that also means that the figure is not decided.
No. The figure will be decided. It's not decided yet.
It's not decided yet. And therefore the figure could be 27, but it could be less than 27.
Well, I don't want to speculate on that because, as I said, that is a decision will be taken by Parliament.
All right?
Yes.
Whatever the figure, one thing is certain, that when the reservations for OBCs happen, the total quantum of reservations will go up in percentage terms. Will you compensate by increasing the total number of seats in colleges, universities, IITs and IIMs, so other students don't feel deprived?
Well, that is one of the suggestions that has been made and is being seriously considered.
Does it find favor with you as Minister for HRD?
Well, whatever suggestion comes, we are committed to examine it.
You may be committed to examine it, but do you as Minister believe that that is the right way forward?
That could be one of the ways, not only the only way, but that could be
What are the other ways?
I don't know. That is for the Prime Minister and the other ministers.
One way forward would be to increase the total number of seats. The problem is that, as the Times of India points out, we're talking of an increase of perhaps as much as 53%. Given the constraints you have in terms of faculty and infrastructure, won't that order of increase dilute the quality of education?
I would only make one humble request. Don't go by the Times of India or the Hindus Times about faculty, infrastructure, because they are trying to, what you call, focus on an argument which they have made.
Okay, I won't go by the Times of India. Let me instead go by Mr. Sukhdev Thorat, the chairman of the UGC.
Yes, that is, but that can be addressed.
He points out that already today at higher education levels, that's all universities, IITs and IIMs, there is a 1.2 lakh vacancy number, 40% of which are in teaching staff. The IIT faculties themselves point out that they have shortages of up to 30%. So given those two constraints, can you increase the number of
that
seats?
Can be addressed, I am saying. That shortage can be taken care of.
But it can't be taken care of in one swoop. It will take several years to do it.
Well, I don't know whether it can be taken care of straight away or in stages. That is subject to be decided.
Let me ask you bluntly. If you were to agree to compensate for reservations for OBCs by increasing the total number of seats, would that increase happen at one go, or would it be staggered over a 2, 3 or 4 year process?
As I told you, that is an issue which I cannot comment upon at this moment, because that is under examination.
So it may happen at one go, it may happen over several series of years.
I can't speculate on it because that is not something on which I am free to speak today.
What about something else? Will the reservation for OBCs, whatever figure your committee decides on, will it happen at one go, or will it slowly be introduced in stages?
That also I cannot say, because as I told you, all these issues are under consideration.
Which means that everything that is of germane interest to the people affected is at the moment under consideration, and the government is not able to give any satisfaction to the students who are deeply concerned.
That is not the point. The government knows what to do, will do what is needed.
But if the government knows what to do, why won't you tell me what the government wants to do?
Because unless the decision is taken, I cannot tell you.
But you can share with me as minister your thinking.
No.
So in other words, we are maintaining a veil of secrecy, and the very people who are concerned...
I am not maintaining a veil of secrecy. I'm only telling you what propriety allows me to tell.
Propriety doesn't allow you to share with the people protesting on the streets what you're thinking?
Well, I don't think all the time that can happen.
But there are people who feel that their lives and their futures are at stake.
Well,
they are undertaking
it's
fast
being
unto
hyped
death.
up. It is being hyped up. I don't want to go into that.
You have no sympathy for them?
I have every sympathy.
Then you say it's hyped up.
Yes, it is hyped up.
So then what sympathy are you showing?
I'm showing sympathy to them, not for those who are hyping it up.
The CPM says that if reservations for the OBCs are to happen, then what's called the creamy layer should be excluded. How do you react to that?
The creamy layer issue has already been taken care by the Supreme Court.
But that was vis-a-vis jobs in employment. What about at the university level? Should they be excluded there as well? Because you're suggesting the answer is yes.
Well, that could be possible.
It could be possible. So it could be possible that the creamy layer excluded from reservations for OBCs in higher education.
It could be, but I don't know whether that will happen actually.
What about something else? Many people say that if reservations for OBCs in higher education happen, then the children of beneficiaries should not be entitled to claim the same benefit.
Well,
So that there's always a shrinking base and that it doesn't proliferate.
well, I don't think that is a very logical way of looking at it.
So that's not acceptable to you.
No, it's not the logical way of looking at it. Everything doesn't.
So with the possible exception of the creamy layer exclusion, reservations for OBCs in higher education when they happen will be almost identical to the existing reservations for SCs and STs.
Except for the percentage.
Except for the percentage.
Yes.
So in every other way they will be identical.
Every other way, yes.
Let's take a break at that point, Mr. Arjun Singh. Let's come back and talk about the politics behind this issue, and in particular the two questions the media has raised. Did you raise this subject to embarrass the Prime Minister? Or have you raised the subject because in some way you believe it benefits you personally? We'll be back in a moment's time. See you after that. Mr. Arjun Singh, on the 5th of April, when you first indicated that the government was considering reservations for OBCs in higher education, was the Prime Minister in agreement that this was the right thing to do?
I think a very motivated propaganda is on this issue. Providing reservation to OBCs was in the public domain right from December 2005 when Parliament passed the enabling regime.
Quite true, but had the Prime Minister specifically agreed on or before the 5th of April to the idea?
Well, I'm telling you, it was already there, and the whole act was made, the constitution was amended, and the Prime Minister was fully aware of what this was going to mean. Actually, he had a meeting in which OBC leaders were called to convince them that this will give them the desired advantage, and they should therefore support this legislation. And at that meeting, he himself talked to them. Now, how do you say that he was unaware?
Why are members of the PMO telling journalists that the Prime Minister was not consulted and that you jumped the gun?
Well, I don't know which member of the PMO, unless you name him. I don't know whether anybody else.
Is there a conspiracy to make you the fall guy?
Well, I don't know whether there is or there is not, but the fall guys are not made like this way, and I am only doing what is manifestly clear to everyone, was cleared by the party and the Prime Minister. There is no question of any personal agenda.
They say that in fact you brought up this issue to embarrass the Prime Minister.
Why should I embarrass the Prime Minister?
Because
I am with him. I am part of his team.
they say that you have a lingering, forgive the word, jealousy because Sonia Gandhi chose Manmohan Singh and not you as Prime Minister.
Well, that is a canard which is below contempt. Only that person can say this who does not know what kind of respect and regard I hold for Sonia Gandhi. She is the leader. Whatever she decides is acceptable to me.
For 7 weeks they've been protesting in the hot sun. No minister has gone to appease them, to allay their concerns, to express sympathy for them. Have politicians let the young people of India down?
Well, I myself called them. They all came here in this very...
But you're the only one. After that,
Yeah,
at
you
the
are
very
accusing
least,
me
no one
only.
else did. But
Nobody else is being accused.
what about the government of India? Has the government of India failed to respond adequately?
No, Government of India also, the Defence Minister met them.
Only recently.
That is something because everyone was busy in the
For
election.
7 weeks, no one met them.
Well, I didn't say that nobody, and we are very concerned, and certainly all of us resent the kind of force that was used. I condemned it the very first day that it happened.